In this video, we look at what is conflict resolution, how various cultures look at conflict resolution, what if the parties conflicting are of a different cultural background, and general steps in conflict resolution. In a business agreement, it could be the case that one of the parties is not doing what they intend to do. The supplier is probably not supplying what they're supposed to be supplying. Or the buyer is pretty much not paying after the supplier supplied. The point is, conflicts are just going to come out. It depends on what you've agreed on, okay? You could supply, you could pay, but then the disagreement is in the nature of the goods you've supplied. Or the disagreement could be in the terms, or rather the methods you've used to pay. So, disagreements, okay? They're always going to be there. This therefore means that there's going to be a need for conflict resolution. What is conflict resolution? Conflict resolution, also known as dispute resolution, refers to the method and processes used to reach an agreement and amicable solution to conflict. That could mean a breach of contract in business. We've already talked about that. It could mean a number of things. But whichever the case, okay, it means that the parties need to find a solution. Conflict resolution is where parties try to find a way forward, which could range from continued performance of the contract to its termination. And so that's true, okay? I mean, at times that's the only solution you have, terminate the contract, because what else are you going to do? I mean, it's just going to be expensive, or whatever it is that you want is not being delivered. Now, whenever you're talking about conflict resolution, and in fact, when you're going through with the process of resolving conflict or deciding on a method to use to resolve the conflict, there are certain things you need to have in mind. You're talking about the parties' level of interest in solution, what is best in the interest of the contract, and number 3, personal skills of the individuals involved. Now let's look at how various cultures, okay, how various cultures will look at conflict resolution. Culture is a way of life, and this is going to come out in how individuals go about resolving conflicts. Western culture may not be the same as Asian, which may also not be similar when dealing with individuals from Middle East. The point is, you need to be sensitive to the culture. Most cultures will aim for a win-win outcome. The real issue is how they go about, arriving at that. In Western countries, for instance, it is common to engage in a back and forth discussions, identifying the underlying needs of all parties and looking to resolve them by drafting contracts and problem solving. That is going to be contrary to, say, the Asian or the Middle East, where the approach is just, direct, okay? Let's solve the conflict directly. There is no need for the back forth thing. And that may appear to be rude to some cultures. The point is, again, I'm not like an expert on cultures and all that stuff. It's just the way of life, which is what culture is, kind of plays a big role in how they choose to handle conflict. What if the parties conflicting are of different cultural backgrounds? This is where a third party comes in. So the third party, okay, a third party is going to be important if the parties conflicting are from a different culture. And the third party should understand the cultural differences of the parties. So that is important, because you go to Japan, you know nothing about the Japanese culture, then you're going to need somebody to help you out. And that person is probably supposed to be good at that culture. Preferably somebody from Japan, right? I'm not saying that you can be from, whatever. Look, let's now focus on, let's talk about the general steps in conflict resolution. So conflict resolution will take a series of steps. The first one is identifying the nature and source of the conflict. That is important, okay? What's causing the problem? You need to know that. At this point, you want to get as much information about the conflict and what caused it. With things like breach of contract, it's going to be straightforward. You look at the contract, you say, okay, this is what you wanted, this is what wasn't supplied, and that's how you're going to deal with it. Number 2, assessing the impact of the breach and how negative consequences can be contained or mitigated. Again, you have to understand that, because if there is a breach of contract, if I breach a contract, okay, and you're incurring a loss as a result of my breach, the first step should not be for you to run to court. The first step should be for you to stop the loss, okay? Mitigating the loss. Because if you think, well, I'm just going to continue incurring this loss and then I'll sue them and then they're going to pay for everything, yeah, that's not going to play well in court, because I'm going to say the moment you realize you're incurring a loss, then You became part of the problem since you let it continue. You should have stopped it from there. Well, you just mitigate the loss, and then that's the reason why you need to assess what is the impact of that conflict. Number 3, find solutions or remedies available to both parties. And number 4, the final stage is agreeing on way forward to resolve the breach. So those are the steps. Now look, it's an assignment, okay? It's something that you need to look at as part of this lesson. Apart from communication issues, what are some other ways cultural differences can affect dispute resolution process, and what could be the potential result? Again, apart from the communication issues, what are some other ways cultural differences can affect dispute resolution process, and what could be the potential results? Now think about that, okay? And I'll see you in the next video.